So my sister's doing for Yemen children, so we give that out free as well. I haven't seen my aunt in a month. She's there complaining, innit? Saying things like, oh, don't worry, you don't come see me, you're giving charity to other people. I go, you don't need it, you're rich. It's the needy that need it. We're done now, so we're straight onto our deliveries, yeah?
What are you trying to get to, man?
I'm just trying to get in the block. I've got some flyers to give out to a mutual aid group so people can contact us. Can I get in?
Please enter. Please enter.
It's all really organised through one big WhatsApp group. There are lots of smaller ones for smaller areas within the ward, but on that WhatsApp group I think there's about 160 people who've signed up. Some of those might be signed up because they want to be able to ask for help or volunteer to help, or both. You know, I feel like it's quite important to stress that we're not a service doing things for people, it's the community doing things for itself, and everybody, you know, if I need to call on somebody I will, if I can do something for somebody I will. It's people who, I guess, kind of spontaneously came together and saw that there was a need for people to have somebody to contact if they need anything, whether they're self-isolating or whether they can't get out of the house because of mobility issues. Anybody would need to reach out to somebody and might not have that because they don't have family or friends around. And within Leyton, we've got Leyton itself, and then just across the high street we've got Grove Green, we've got Cathall, and then we've got Lee Bridge Road along the way, so it's like the whole area is quite well covered.
So we've been helping as much as we can. We're doing it as like a group of brothers set up, and the first time we done it. But from the first day where it was 100 packs, and today we're probably doing, I think it's probably gone to well over 500. The social media we've been using, like a lot of Instagram, some here and there, but the main has been Facebook, to be honest with you. We've been getting like shares, and a lot of people through this have been contacting us through deliveries as well. And it's been like a mixture of people, elderly, people in isolation. There's been like even Asian Muslim, there's been English, all different faiths, all different colours, backgrounds, whatever. And we've just, whoever just said it, we've not asked any questions. We've just gone and just done the deliveries. And the boys that are doing the deliveries are like all our friends as well. We're just doing it because out of our own lot. We've not asked for donation. People have donated, but it's just going to go straight directly to what we've done. You know, we ain't got no costs. All our own costs, our petrols, our everything, we've done it ourselves.
I do believe that there is this cultural tone that this is not a political crisis, that the effects of coronavirus are not because of the response to it by the government. Why do I think people have issues with discussing it? There's this idea that somehow this is just a fact of life, that a disease will spread through a population like the Black Plague and destroy it entirely, even in the 21st century when we have amazing access to all sorts of things that are nothing short of miracles of modern medical technology.
For a long time, apart from like a kind of period more recently where there's been real sort of conflict and challenge towards the ruling class in politics, politics was just seen as like two barely different rival factions having petty arguments and trying to score points over things without anything substantial actually being offered or promised. And I think that really turned people off, and people still haven't come around to the idea that like politics is something that can really do a lot of good, and it's really important to have like radical critiques of government
Mutual aid as a concept is inherently political. I mean, as I said, I do think it's certainly very important that we do speak about the political implications of both the reason why mutual aid exists in the first place and the end goals of mutual aid.
Like I said, we're born and bred here, our parents live here, blah blah blah. We live in a small community. A few people have come along and we're up to about nearly £2,000 to be honest, so people have done well through that, but there's a few of us, and even if we've spent £400, £500 each, it's not going to be... We are in our holy month where it's considered everything is multiplied into thousands. So charity is one of the pillars, and we're fortunately in a month where we've got the opportunity to multiply this by a few hundred thousand. The need for us is self-preserved, mate. We want to help out. Call it, like I said to you, we believe that we get rewarded for this. So for me, it's my selfish nature. If I'm getting rewarded, and I know I'm going to get rewarded, this is beautiful. I'm helping someone, doing something nice, and I'm going to get rewarded. I honestly believe this year, and I'm really disappointed with this. Nationally, I've been checking a lot of charities, and the Muslim community, we get such bad press, man. The average man or woman who have to say, am I allowed it because I'm not Muslim? You're thinking, what? You're human. Of course you're allowed it. Have what you want. It was lovely. You know when you're jumping up the wicked, the nice delivery, isn't it? Yeah. When they see big, ugly, hairy monsters like us.
Even if it is very political, a lot of people simply don't have the time and energy to talk about the political implications of this sort of thing. And without going into the fact that that's clearly not an accident of the system that we live in, that you're so overworked that you can't actually work to change it because you just don't have the time. It's very clear that the way the education system is organised is not to produce a thinking member of society, but a working actor within society. It's this aim within capitalism to keep people working and keep people contributing to capital in such a way that they don't actually have the opportunity nor the inclination to sit down and think, well, hang on, why am I being forced to work for longer and longer hours, but my wages aren't increasing? Why am I essentially just considered a disposable worker drone within the economy and within society as a whole?
He needs help.
Has he got people who come in and out for him, do you know? So he's quite isolated, is he? All right,
he's a very, shall we say, isolated person.
Yeah, okay.
It definitely benefits those that hold power to have people not kind of look at things at a more radical level and see the kind of, I don't know, like the deep conflicts that exist in society, because then there won't be a fight and then nothing will change, and the only way that these things will change is if there is a fight and if people are willing to resist and build power to kind of challenge the dominant forces.
Hi, my name's Liam. I'm just handing out some flyers for a mutual aid group so people can contact us if they need anything from us. Is it okay if you let me into the building just so I can put some flyers through letterboxes? Sure. Yeah, thank you.
Certainly the way that society and the government and the economy that we live in is structured in such a way, intentionally, it's not accidental, intentionally to prevent the majority of society from actually fundamentally changing the system in such a way to improve their lot.
We've had help from individual councillors, but the council as an organisation and departments of the council, we haven't been approached by them. They've set up parallel things since mutual aid groups were set up, and we found it a bit odd that they didn't want to really talk to those groups who were already up and running and might imagine that we could have some useful things to share with them, and also that they could support us, but it seems like they're kind of operating quite separately from us.
This wonderful couple gave us a donation yesterday as well. Thank you for serving them. Look at that, that's kind of, look, we've just got that message. Are you dropping any food packs? Was yesterday the last day? Nope. We just received one now. We have said to people that we are available for. We've just left it very generic. Whatever we can help with, just call us and we'll try. Like I say, some people have asked for meat, some people have asked for food. One or two people have just phoned up for a chat. This is not coordinated. These big charities are coordinated with fat cats, with directors and strategy consultants and co-ops and etc. People who does this and someone who gets paid for that. We're a bunch of friends who went to a local school, Warwick, who got together and said, look, we're handing out food on Thursday, so be there. Someone go get the food from Spitalfields Market. Someone go to a local caterer, bring it along and put it in a bag and hand it out. Good thing is, because we're not affiliated to no one, we have no laws and boundaries or legislation that we must work to. We can do what we like, how we like, we have the autonomy to do that.
One thing we didn't realise how many people need support before we done this. You realise it because you know you get a few families, a few people who need a little bit of top up, a little bit of like just like basically a little bit of food and like raw food or something. But anything, a little bit of help, but not as much as we didn't realise as much until we started this. There's loads of people, especially just our local people in the local community. See, we got the regular people coming as well. They come every single day. They work for the council, but they come pick food up as well.
It's amazing that in a country that's so desired to get to, people will give their right arm to get to England. Yeah. Some of our parents from Kashmir and Pakistan, you speak to them, they literally will give their right arm to get to England. And there's people in England who haven't got food to eat. They wouldn't believe that. No, if you told them that there's people in England who are living homeless and have no food to eat, they won't believe it. You speak to people and a common term you hear, there's no poverty in England. It's through their own fault. It's through alcohol abuse, drug abuse, substance misuse. No, wake up. There's people in trouble.
What should governments and local councils be doing to support mutual aid groups? Supporting, funding mutual aid groups and bringing awareness to mutual aid groups and encouraging membership within these mutual aid groups and empowering groups like workers' unions, paying important people within society more. Because it's all well and good calling people heroes and, you know, thanks local councils, that's very nice of you to say, but unfortunately being called a hero isn't going to let an NHS worker pay their bills.
MPs are coming out and clapping. You're the same MPs that didn't vote for them to get a pay rise. Are you clapping? Do you think they can walk into Tesco's and get free food? That's symbolic rubbish. Mate, these nurses are on like 18 grand a year, they're saving our lives. They're eating from food banks. Nurses are going to food banks and they're saving our lives. And then on a Thursday at 8 o'clock we come out and clap. That really makes a difference to their lives, doesn't it? Yeah, lovely. Thanks for the clap, because Tesco's, that's not a currency in Tesco's or Asda, a clap. At least we're getting paid a wage that's sufficient to their needs and the work they put in. And they put in some work, which now it's taking the pandemic to realise how important they are to us as a society. Why did it take that long?
I mean, we're looking at the kind of erosion of support from the state and communities over the last 40 years. It's not just a question of money, because it's, you know, immaterial things like relationships, the kind of very individualistic society that has been promoted through 40 years of neoliberal kind of theory, economics, of people being in competition with each other, breaking apart social institutions. This is the reason that we need to build these organisations and build these relationships now, is because they've been stripped away and broken up. I think that when you look at the government's record on this, when they had so much warning, they watched it sweep across from East Asia down through Southern Europe and up to the UK, and they still did not do what they needed to do to kind of protect people from it. And then when you look at the kind of the concessions that they've given to working people to try and make sure that people are not kind of left homeless or starving or completely desperate, but they haven't gone far enough. Now that the talk is of kind of rolling back the lockdown, rolling back these furlough schemes, they've just shown that, you know, at the time when people still need this, they're talking about rolling it back. And then into the future, when you know, let's talk about how this will be paid for by public sector pay freeze. These are the same people who've been talking about protecting the NHS, thanking our key workers, and now they're talking about giving them a pay freeze, which is going to leave them even further behind what they were before this started. You can't trust the government to do the right thing and to protect people in this situation. Not a Tory government.
Obviously, this government has proven, I think, beyond reasonable doubt, that they are completely, fundamentally incapable of providing for their people in a time of crisis, because they sort of worship the god of the stock market instead of actually working in Parliament to make sure that people have a good life. So when it's a government formed entirely of capital owners whose interests are essentially diametrically opposed to the majority of society, that is a huge irreconcilable problem within our society that needs to be alleviated. So mutual aid groups, they only become more and more crucial as there's an inevitable second peak, as more people die because of the irresponsibility of the government. I believe that a mutual aid group, beyond it being a group that is involved in making sure people are provided for, it is also a group in which the collective bargaining power of the majority of people in society at least has the potential to be properly coordinated into a coherent force. It's also, I think, part of a process of decommodifying a society, generating class consciousness and generating solidarity within society.
There are always people out there who need things and need help with things. You know, people who with mobility issues, disabilities, who can't get out of the house. These people were there long before COVID, and they're going to be there long after, and they're always going to need help. And the fact that they've shown that they are more willing to approach a community group of their peers rather than to access support from the state in those ways is, you know, it's telling that it's needed, and we're going to still have a role there doing that.
I think we're a society, is it society or is it generally that our strains and controls of bills, if it's not the bill, it's the car insurance, the financial rat race that we're amongst, that we have no time to think about fellow human being, of what they're going through or what our neighbour's going through. Our member of the Masjid committee has been really good to us. He's opened the doors for us. He goes, look, I can give you the base to work from, I can't. And he's also put his hand in his pocket. So him himself, I'll give him that. And a lot of the people in the community generally mix amongst people from Waltham Forest. If you don't have the finances, I'm sure there's a few shops that would say to you, you can pay me tomorrow.
Yeah.
They won't let you go starving. Looking after each other, the world will be a better place and we can change things. As long as no one comes in and interferes, you know. That's what I find. As long as there's no leaders and everyone has the no financial gain gets involved, it's nice. It's just when money gets involved and people want a bit of it, it's not there.
You know, the opportunity is that this can last long after this crisis is over. to carry on giving, support to people and to help the people who are around us, and for them to be held by their community, but also as a kind of means of organising and kind of building a bit of power possibly to challenge things. Only through people kind of coming together can we challenge things, and this is one way in which people really have come together, and there are relationships being formed, and the amount of kind of time that people are putting in out of purely wanting to support the people around them, it shows that these are real ties of solidarity being built. I think I'd rather that there wasn't really support directly for mutual aid groups, and that they would just do the right thing with their public policy and support people so that they didn't need to be supported by mutual aid groups, whether that's providing resources or whether that's legislation to protect renters and groups like that are vulnerable, and just allow mutual aid groups to do what we're doing without any interference from the government, when I don't think that the support would be coming from a place of honest wanting to help communities. I think there would be ulterior motives there to either co-opt or shut down what's the kind of important grassroots organisation.
This problem's not going to go away. We're going to be hungry. And what do we do? We're hoping. There's a lot of people doing good stuff. There's a lady on Wood Street who's doing some good stuff. There's a few other people. We're very naive around it because we've not been in the sector. We've never done it before. But as we're doing it, people are informing us of other people. So we're hoping to affiliate or join up with other people doing the same stuff so we can continue to do it when this lockdown is over.
Should we be accepting the responsibility of looking after our society? Yes, of course. We are part of society. We have to look after it. But specifically, should we be accepting that responsibility when we have a government whose job it is to do that? No, of course not. At the end of the day, it is not the government that provides for society. It is society that provides for society. We shouldn't be letting the government get away with doing this. They should be punished, and they should be investigated, and in many cases forced, in almost every case I should say, forced to step down for what is nothing short of criminal negligence.
The thing that's often said that people are self-interested and people will do what is best for themselves, and I really don't think it's true. You will see that people have got so much capacity to make self-sacrifice and to put in serious work to do what's best for the people around them. These moments of crisis where it's really needed, you see the best of what people can do, and it really does challenge that idea that we're all out for ourselves.
This is a sort of actual democracy that I think not only is beneficial right now, not only is beneficial in the future, but also is beneficial culturally in that it sort of encourages a tone in society in which people are far more aware of their own agency. Yeah, I certainly think that mutual aid groups have a lot of potential to be incredibly beneficial to society as a whole and individuals as individuals. I just hope that once this is all over, we don't forget what came to light as a result of this, and we're not too scared of politicizing a problem.